Hello everybody, we are sitting on the bed today. My laptop cord doesn't reach. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm gonna have to sit back here. Hopefully I can crop it so it doesn't feel weird, but also maybe it's just slumber party vibe. Sorry if my posture bugs you or anything. I'm not gonna be in the video much anyways though, because we're talking about somebody's space today. That's right. We are talking about this lovely lady's home in Colorado. She's got an open floor plan home and she's not sure what to do. It's a white home and she's looking for tips on how to add some color. I believe she called herself a recovering sad beige mom, which I love. So she lives here with her husband, her 3 kids, and her dog. We've got a full house and we're going to be making over this whole main floor. I'm going to say all my tips and tricks that I think would help out without it trying to be too overwhelming. I don't want you to have to do like a full reno and a bunch of work. I don't think that's realistic. So I've given a bunch of tips like here and there. Because honestly, it is a really good base that we're starting with, I think, here. Then she sent a video, which is fun. So we have a lovely little entryway. Love it. Gorgeous rug, gorgeous console table or whatever. And then this is the kitchen. The kitchen is all white, as you can see. And then the bottom half is wood cabinets. And so she's having a hard time adding some color and stuff to the kitchen. And then back here, there's a little mudroom. Her suggestion was color washing this, which I think would be great to do something fun in there since it's its own little separate space to do some color on the walls or something. Then we've got this lovely dining room. I love the mid-century style table, green rug, gorgeous, and really nice looking pendant light. I bet it gives off some great light. And then this is the living room. It's kind of long, like it's kind of awkward. Christmas tree isn't usually there. There's a chair that usually is over there. And yeah, this is the space that we're working with. Very lovely, very nice, very open, and very white. So let's get to it. We're gonna start in the mudroom here, okay? We'll go room by room on like the updates and things that we wanna do, but she did say that all the white in her house is driving her crazy. And one last comment, I'm not attached to any of the art or the pictures. I'm open to all of your suggestions. Okay, great. Oh, and also, I should have mentioned this. She did also send some inspo pics. Now I will say, just a few things to note about the inspo pics. Every wall is neutral. All these inspiration photos have white walls and lots of warm tones, lots of cozy accessories, things like that. And so I will say, just based off of what I think that she wants and what she currently has, I think a few things that we really need to focus on are adding some color, adding some warmth, adding some coziness, and adding some feminine touches. I just think that it's feeling like a little bit sterile right now, where it needs to feel a little bit more homey and kind of lived in. Okay, so all that being said, we're starting off in the mudroom here. We're starting off in the mudroom. I don't know if anybody else would call this a mudroom, but I would call it a mudroom, I think. Mudroom? I'm trying to think of what my sister would call it, like the space that goes to her garage. Back entrance? We're calling it a mudroom. Okay. So first, some things to note about this mudroom. We've got this wooden detail on the wall. I don't know if you put that there. I don't know if that was there when you moved in. I don't love that. Wooden paneling is kind of cool, but I do find that with these ones, either people are doing one wall or they're doing a piece like this and it just kind of feels random. I prefer something more cohesive, a space that has been covered in wood rather than just like trying to add a little detail of wood or like an accent wall of wood. So I would remove that. And I like these 2 pictures as well. I will say that when you put 2 very similar pictures like this together, I think with a matching frame, it really starts to feel very from IKEA. From home sense, art that you went and bought from a big box store and put up in your home. Now, I don't know if these pictures actually do mean anything to you if you took these photos or something. They were really pretty, but I just don't think I would put them right next to each other in the same frame with the same matting with the white and the black. I think I would maybe keep one over here and put one somewhere else, or keep both of them, but maybe paint one of the frames or even just change out one of the frames, like change it to a different size. And then we got a lovely little bench in here. Great for sitting down, putting your shoes on. Love that. And we have this little rug that is in front of what I'm assuming is a closet. So it's only covering half of the space, and that's all the things that I would like to note in here. We're going to remove everything though, except for the bench. I love the bench. We're keeping the bench. And I love the idea of color drenching in here. However, she had also said that she wanted to wallpaper in the dining room, and I don't think the dining room is going to be a good spot to wallpaper. So if you do really want to try and wallpaper and you want to have that fun little pattern in your house, I think that this would be the room to wallpaper because it's its own separate little space. The wall isn't continuing into another space. It can just be a little wallpapered, cozy little mudroom. So I tried a green wallpaper. I think this one might be too dark. The thing is, I don't want you to go for anything too crazy when you're so used to white and neutrals. I think diving in too hard can all of a sudden be like, oh my God, what have I done? This is so busy and overwhelming and like way too overstimulating. So I actually changed it to a white wallpaper with some stripes. I like this little red stripe in here. And I'm really into, if you're going to wallpaper a space, I prefer the trim to be painted something that matches the wallpaper. Even if the trim does stay white, if there's white in the wallpaper, great. But I would paint the trim in this Mudroom, a color that's very poppin' right now, very poppin' and popular. In fact, it's right behind me, a nice dark red. Dark red on the doors and the trim. Yeah, something to bring in this wallpaper color. I think it looks cool and fun. And you can have fun in a nice little spot like this because it's very easy to redo if you don't like it. That's what I did in my closet. That's the one room that I painted a fun color. It's a butter yellow color. I still love it. I've loved it since I did it, but it was a safe space to test out having a color in my house rather than painting like my whole bedroom or something. And then since this trim is just basic plain trim, I'm sure you can get some of the exact same kind from Home Depot or something. And so I would get some more trim and just nail it around the window so that you can have red trim around the window too. I think that would be cute, and tie it together more. And also to add something to this wall, because I mean, you could put a Roman shade there, but I just think it will look good if you do the trim, and you already have these like nice white blinds that are doing the trick. So I don't know if you need to put some sort of shade in there. And then we got to put a rug down. I liked your little carpet, but I don't think that it looks very practical. I would get a big rug, or even just like a second one that's maybe the same and you can make it look like a big one, but something to fill up this whole square. Because even when you come in with muddy shoes on, don't you want to be on a rug and then take your shoes off and put them on the bench? I think it would just be perfect to put like an actual square rug in here. And they're not that expensive if it's going to be like, I don't know how big this space is, 3 feet by 3 feet or something like that. And then art-wise, I'm going to put one of these art pictures back up here. And then I'm going to do 3 other ones to make it a little bit more eclectic. I love a vertical gallery wall. You know, it's not as busy as a regular gallery wall. It's nice. It's like seamless and structured. So I think why not get your kids to do some of your art? Obviously, you can also thrift some art or look for some art that you like and stuff like that. But when you already have these kids in your house that you love, you're going to want to put their art up. They're probably doing little arts and paintings and things like that. If you put it in an actual frame, it actually could look good. Like it actually could look quite good. Even though it might look like a child did this, it's still like fun, colorful art. And yeah, it's different than when you just like hang up your kids' art on the fridge. You can put it in a little frame and then it looks more put together, more on purpose. It's a piece of art in the home. Or you could also get them to help you paint some of the frames or some of the matting in the frames or something, just to add some color to some of your art. Because yeah, art is one of the safest and most fun ways to just go crazy with color and test out different things. Anyway, that's all I got for the mudroom. That's mudroom done. Mudroom is quite simple. There's not too much you can even do in here. You can just really do the rug and then you can do something fun on the walls. Let's move over. We're gonna move over to the dining room. The dining room is a really good base. I like the dining room. Like I said, it's feeling very masculine. It's feeling kind of bachelor pad, besides the diffuse lighting that I'm sure we get from this beautiful little soft globe light, but it kind of needs something to cozy it up, I think. And one other thing that I want to note, since we have this little view here, first of all, there's a ton of windows in this home, so it's really hard to do art. But I think that's just one of the sacrifices that you have to pay to have a ton of windows. You can't really put a ton of art up. And it's feeling a bit awkward that on every little strip of wall, the art is just placed all over. I would rather them be, like I said, on like a vertical wall or like in a chunk somewhere, rather than awkwardly spaced out kind of around the house in between the windows. So we're gonna remove that too. I like the plant hanging in the corner. I like everything else. We just have a few things that I'm gonna tweak around here and maybe add a few things here too. Actually, another note, I'm going to remove this one plant that's by the sliding door. I think it feels awkward. It feels like it's kind of in the way. It's something that you have to walk around to get outside, and it just kind of feels unnecessary. But I also will say, I like your plant pots, but that would be another easy way to bring in some color. You could paint your plant pot or get different plant pots. Okay, moving right along, we're gonna remove everything from this room. So this actually also was the room that she was thinking that we could wallpaper. I wouldn't wallpaper this room, I wouldn't paint this room because it stretches into the kitchen so much. The long wall on the left here is also in the kitchen basically, and I don't love the idea of it like encroaching on the kitchen even though it's not a part of the kitchen. That's the one thing that's really hard about open floors. You can't really paint the walls much unless it kind of feels like its own little zone, because otherwise I think it would start to feel awkward, for me anyway. So I wouldn't paint these walls. I would add floor to ceiling curtains on every single window. And then it could add some pattern. It could add whatever color you want. I put these ones up. I think this is like a white gingham pattern. You can't really tell what it is from the Photoshop because the pattern got kind of warped, but you could put anything up, any sort of color that you think will look really good. Something that's kind of warm, that's going to warm up the space, I think, because the rug is kind of a cool toned green. But yeah, I think that this would be the perfect solution. It would be cheaper, be a ton easier than putting a bunch of wallpaper up, and then it's also easy to undo if you don't like it. I think that lots of curtains up here would look really good and make it feel a lot more cozy and have like a big dramatic effect without having to do too much. And then moving on, there was a little red stool in this corner on the right behind this chair. I don't know if you use that stool often or what the deal is here, but I do see that you have 6 chairs and you have a family of 5, so surely we don't need it all the time. So I would take that stool and I would put it over here and put them on plant on it. I like a plant being raised. I like it sitting on the floor too, but I just think it would look better if you brought it up on this stool, and then the stool doesn't feel as random, the plant doesn't feel as random. They're over here together. And those two tiny little photos that were on the left corner, I would bring those over here because that other picture I think was a little bit too big for the wall. It was kind of awkward that it was taking up most of the wall. Something vertical and thinner would look better there. Or if you put these two little guys here above the plant, it makes it its own little moment. You know, its own little cute little moment. Like thinking about piecing things together to make them look cute together rather than just trying to space everything out so that everything is kind of spread out throughout the home. Piece it together, make fun little vignettes, you know what I mean? And then other than that, one big thing that I think that your house could really use is a bunch of lamps. I mean, of course, I'm always preaching lamps. Everybody's always preaching lamps. Lamps are really add a cozy vibe. I just imagine your house at night with the ceiling lights on and the walls all being so bright, and hopefully you can dim the ceiling lights and that wouldn't be as bad, but still you've got these glaring ceiling lights on, you've got all these white walls, you've got this white kitchen, and it's just feeling way too bright. If you could turn off those lights and have a bunch of cozy lamps lighting and this big beautiful pendant light, it instantly would make it feel a lot more cozy and warm in there. So I went for a pretty feminine lampshade back here, and I thought maybe like a silver metal or something. Your house also doesn't really have that much metal, so if you like metal, I feel like it'd be fun to bring in some different tones of metal and stuff like that. Okay, that is dining room done. Got him again. And now we're going to move over to the kitchen. Okay, so this is a kitchen. We've got this lovely kitchen. Honestly, it is a beautiful kitchen. It is a clean kitchen. It looks like it has everything that you need, more space than you would ever even need. Like this is people's literal dream kitchen. I think it's really, really nice, but it's just missing some character and a little bit of flavor. You know what I'm saying? So moving over to the kitchen, this is also the view that you can see that if we had wallpapered this dining room wall, we would have had to go like over top of the mudroom area sort of on that wall. And it like feels like it's encroaching into the kitchen. But anyways, regardless, let's look at the kitchen right now. She said she wouldn't mind getting someone to come and paint her kitchen cabinets, and she said a mushroom color. That would be really nice. It would warm up the space a lot, but the fact that you said that you would want a mushroom color makes me think that you're still feeling kind of shy of color, and maybe that you wouldn't want too bright of a color cabinet. Like I understand that you have white cabinets, you have a white backsplash and a white countertop, so it is a lot of white, but I don't think that the mushroom paint color is going to give you as dramatic of an effect as you would be hoping for. Like a cream color or a brown color is not going to make that big of a difference, and it's probably going to make the rest of the house feel even more white if all of these cabinets were painted like a beigey brown color, I think. So instead, I have some other little tipskis that I would do here. Firstly, if I'm being extra nitpicky, I don't love a paper towel. Firstly, if I'm being extra nitpicky, I don't love a paper towel holder. My sister actually has one that goes on the back of her pantry door. So then you can just open a cabinet and grab one, because they are just like kind of ugly. They're kind of in the way. And also because a dish towel is so much cuter. You can even get like a little dish towel stand that can sit on your counter, and then you can dry your hands with that if you had that like sitting next to your sink on the counter. But also just because, of course, from waste, paper towels aren't exactly the most sustainable. I know that they're compostable, but we're just going through them. Every single paper towel counts, okay, guys? So if you tuck them away, you're less likely to use them. You're more likely to use your rags and your other things like that first. And that's just my preference. But anyway, then also your air fryer's in the background. I would recommend keeping your air fryer on your counter if you use it every day. I keep mine on my counter. I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's too much of an eyesore. I don't want to be pulling it out of the cupboard all the time. There's certain appliances that I do keep in the cupboard that I don't use every day, but I keep my coffee maker and I keep my air fryer out. What I did is I got these little sticky wheels. They have little adhesives on them, and they're little tiny little silver wheels. And I stuck them on the bottom of my coffee maker and my air fryer. So then I can have my coffee maker out when I'm using it, and then I can roll it right underneath the counter really easily to at least get it somewhat out of the way. So yeah, I would recommend tucking your little air fryer into the corner. And I think there's a fruit bowl and stuff back there. So we're going to address all these things, but I'm just going to remove everything from the kitchen so that we can start with a blank slate here. And then we're going to bring in the curtains, because obviously the curtain will kind of be showing over here, and put our little plant red stool picture moment that we have over here. We're going to put that back in. And then even I think having the colorful little mudroom will be a game changer in here, because having like a fun little room that you can at least look at past the kitchen, I think is going to make the kitchen feel a lot less sterile. So already things are shaping up. So she said in her email too that she would want different cabinet handles. We have like the classic black sterile ones. You know, this is a classic American white home with the black accents. And some people do love that. That's not for everyone. She thinks that putting some gold knobs up would warm it up. I think you're totally right. I would do a little pull, maybe if you could fill the top hole where the handle is. I just love a little knob. So I would do maybe like a little gold knob, or you could get like a cute gold handle too, like something maybe antique looking. Since your house is so modern, it might be fun to bring in a little bit of a vintage vibe with these handles. Even you could do like those ones that are half moon on the drawers on the bottom. That'd be really cute. And I think that honestly would make a big difference. I think you're right. I think another thing that would make a big difference is if you painted the bottom of this kitchen island dark brown. It is kind of strange to me that it doesn't match the bottom cabinets at the back. I don't know why they didn't keep it cohesive with the dark wood cabinets. I mean, ideally, all the cabinets would have been dark wood. I think that would look really good, but you know, they're not. We're working with what we've got. So why not paint this thing? Because then you don't have to worry about the cabinets chipping. I mean, getting your cabinets painted is like a pretty big, expensive job, I think. If you hired someone to just paint the bottom of this island a brown color, I think it would feel a lot more grounded in here and make a big difference. And then one thing that I think could be expensive, but I think would make a huge difference is these chairs. I like these chairs a lot. They look comfortable. I love the wood. They're gorgeous. I actually do like the beige as well, and I really like the shape of them. But I think that the chairs are really doing you a disservice, because I think since they're this beige cream color, they are making the kitchen feel so much more white. So if you wanted to do something rather than painting and wallpapering and doing all these things, I think maybe reupholstering these chairs would be a huge game changer. I picked like a blue striped fabric. I'm not sure if you're a big fan of blue. There was like a couple little blue things in your inspiration, but whatever color you're really into, I think that this would make a huge, huge difference. And pick a relatively like safe fabric, I think, like a safe pattern. That's why I did a blue stripe. I don't think you're gonna get sick of a stripe. But yeah, I think it would be an absolute game changer in here. It would make it feel so much cozier, so much more colorful. And like I said, we wouldn't have that like contrast with the white and the cream, making the countertop and the kitchen just feel so much more stark white, I feel like. And then another thing that she wanted to address was these 3 spots above the kitchen island. You can see that there are 3 spots up there that would be for, you know, the classic like 3 pendants over a kitchen island, which I like. I think it's cute. I think it's cool. But she said she's tried multiple pendant lights and nothing is working, and she thinks it's because of the pot lights, which I understand. There's so much busy stuff going on the ceiling, all these little holes. I think you might be right about that. And so my solution to that would be to, instead of having 3 more things hanging down and making it really busy, why not try and find a light fixture that comes down from one spot and then goes over the kitchen island. There's a few different ones that I found on Pinterest, and then I think it would have the nice lighting. It would be a huge moment, but then it wouldn't feel as distracting on the ceiling if it was just coming from one source. You could try and kind of ignore everything else that's going on the ceiling and just have this beautiful light hanging lower above the island. I think it would look really good. I absolutely love this one, actually. And it looks like it's like a nice brasser gold thing, which would be good with your gold handles. I think it would be cute. Oh, another thing about the gold handles that I should have noted is I don't mind keeping the black faucet with the gold handles. And then you have the stainless steel appliances. I like the mixed metals. I think it's cool. If you were considering changing out the black faucet for something gold or brass as well, I would keep the black faucet, honestly. And then there are these walls behind the upper cabinets up there. I don't know if those would be really hard to paint, but I thought you could also paint them the same brown color. Just tie it all together, have a bit of brown up there, a little bit of brown under the island, if you wanted to. I don't know that it would make that big of an impact and be worth it, but it's just a thought you could do. And then I would put a picture behind the backsplash. We've got this big chunk of white backsplash. I see that you already hung one up, which is very cute. I would do a big one above the stove. Someone commented on one of my videos when I was talking about a kitchen and putting a picture on your backsplash that it would be so dangerous with all the soup splatter, which it totally would if you put like a painting or something up there, but just make sure that you use a picture frame that's glass, and maybe even one that is like lacquered on the outside or something so that it's really wipeable. And then it doesn't really matter. It's the same thing as cleaning your backsplash. You can just clean that picture, right? And then we just need more styling in here, I feel like. I put a little cookbook next to the air fryer. I don't know, something fun to bring in some more color, but not really necessary, but you could stack up some books or have some like leaning up against that cupboard in the corner and stuff and do just like some fun, cute styling, try out a bunch of different things. We definitely need a lamp. We need to cozy it up. We're cozying it up with the pendant light big time, but we also want to cozy it up. I put a little globe light in the back corner. I love a good globe light, you know, and then it's a globe, so it's wipeable. It's not a fabric lamp or anything like that. And then I like the plant on the island. I think it'll be good to style some more things on this island because right now it's just a big chunk of white. And I think the easiest way to do that would be to put it on something. Get a tray, cutting board, something like that. Put the plant on there, put some candles on there. You know, you don't necessarily need to use the cutting board and the tray, but you can slide it around if you need the space. But also this island looks so big that I don't think you would need the space in the middle as much. Like if somebody was sitting in the chairs, sure, you can keep those edges clear in case your kids need to eat and have their little plate or whatever. But I think you could have some more things styled in the middle. So I put a cutting board with a bunch of things on it. And I also put a fun fruit bowl there. I saw that you have a fruit bowl in the corner, I think. near the air fryer. So I would bring that out onto the counter because fruit's colorful, you know, it'd be fun to have like another thing out here on the island to break up this white, like I said. And so why not have like a fun little colorful bowl filled with fruit? The last thing about the kitchen that I will say, it doesn't look like you could style a bunch of stuff up top on the cabinets. I think that space is looking pretty small. You could put some shallow bowls up there or something if you wanted to, but I would put a plant in the corner. It looks like you like plants a lot. So why not get another little plant? Because I know plant people love plants. I know I also love plants. I would have a million if I liked it. And I do like a plant here and there, but I don't love a ton of plants. But anyways, I thought we could put a pothos or something viney up above the fridge in this corner. And then you could try and guide the vines down so that they're kind of covering this wall. And then, you know, they're breaking up some of the white at least a bit. And that's the kitchen done. I mean, it's just a few basic little things, you know, it just kind of feels unfinished right now. So I think that even just adding the pendant light and some styling things, honestly, even if you didn't paint the brown and you tried to reupholster the chairs first, I think the reupholstered chairs is seriously going to change the whole vibe of the kitchen. So I think you should just take a chance. And I know it probably feels a little bit scary to put a fun fabric on these chairs. When you have these beautiful chairs and they're beige and you're used to having neutral furniture, but sometimes you just gotta take a risk, you know, especially if you're sick of it. Like, why not? If you have the money, it couldn't hurt to just try and do a fun fabric, you know? Okay, my camera's gonna die, so I'm gonna go make dinner and then I'll come back. Okay, everybody, I got my dinner going. Brendan's on his way home from work, and I think the camera's charged enough to finish this up. So let's chat, shall we? We finished the kitchen onto this lovely little front entrance. I think the entryway, oh my God, my light's not on. Wow, you guys are gonna get to see how big of a difference it makes. Okay, the entrance, right? Honestly, you can only do so much with an entryway unless you're gonna paint all the walls, which you can't because they go up to the ceiling and then it would be encroaching on your upstairs and stuff. So I feel like you can't and you shouldn't, unless you wanna paint like the upstairs hall a color as well and you could bring it down into here, maybe. But otherwise, I think it's great. It's all good. I love the rug. The one thing that I will say is I would push the rug closer to the door, literally just because it's practical. Like, it looks strange to me right now that the rug is floating because when you step in, then you're stepping on the floor rather than on the rug with your dirty shoes. I don't know. Is that a super Canadian thing to think that the rug needs to be right at the front door? Like, I'm like, are you constantly cleaning your floors? They got to get dirty with these kids running in with their muddy boots and stomping immediately on the floor rather than on the rug. Anyway, they have this picture that she made with her kids in the living room. And she was saying she might want to bring it into here and put it where the mirror is. I think you could put it where the mirror is, or I think you could put it across the wall in between these vents. Obviously, the vents kind of suck. It's just like what we have to deal with in homes, right? But I think that the picture would be cool here, or if it doesn't fit there, if it's too big, I think you could put the picture where the mirror is, and you could put the mirror on the other wall even. I think it would be fun to have that in there and you could take little selfies with the picture that you made with your kids in the back. I don't know, just a thought. But other than that, I like it. I like the plant. I love the front entry table. It looks like it's got lots of storage. This blue lamp is gorgeous. I love the blue lamp with the like stitching on the outside of the lampshade. That's such a nice lamp. But I think that if you wanted to bring color in here, the one way to do it, of course, would be to paint the door. Now, one of her inspiration pictures had this muddy green color that I'm obsessed with, you know, my swampy green color that I love. So we could paint the door green. You could paint the door any color, whatever color you're feeling. I think you can't go wrong. I think anything would look good with that rug, and it's just a door, so it even can be a bright color. If you do love a bright color, if your kids are loving a bright color or something, you could paint that a fun color. And then other than that, I think this is perfect. The only thing that I would do if you're looking for more stuff to buy and upgrade is put a coat rack in that corner. Like, you could even keep the hooks on the wall, but then you could put a coat rack. I always love the idea of having a little coat rack, because then your guests just can go right ahead and throw their coats on it. But other than that, I think it's great. We've got a little lamp. I think that's a wall sconce next to the door. And then there's a pendant lamp kind of above that looks really cute too. I like it all. And then we're moving on to the living room. Woo! Let's do the living room. This is the living room. We have a few things to note here. She's not attached to any of the furniture. She thought maybe they could have two couches across from each other, which I think you could. I think you totally could, but more on that later. Coffee table, she's not attached to. Coffee table looks a little too small for this space. I don't know if you always have this aisle here, or if it's because the Christmas tree and stuff is there, but furniture needs to be brought in more for me. Everything's pushed out to the walls and it doesn't feel correct. So we're gonna remove the Christmas tree. Sorry, it's not Christmas anymore. And this little table, she said her kids are older, so she could move it upstairs to their playroom. I'm assuming she had it down here so that she could like watch them while they play or something. So we're gonna remove the play table as well, assuming that it can go upstairs. And then we're gonna discuss everything else that we're gonna do around here. One thing that I really would like to note is obviously we're removing this piece of art because we're hopefully putting it in the entryway. The TV above the fireplace. I'm fine with the TV above the fireplace, of course. This particular case, I really am not liking how big it is above the fireplace. The fireplace is smaller and so it's feeling really top heavy up there. She said that she thought maybe the problem was too many rectangles with the two big rectangles. I think so, and then also with the rectangle of the fireplace and it being so small down there, it's just really not doing the fireplace justice, okay? But I do like the TV up there, maybe if it was smaller. I like the art on the TV, like I like doing a little art TV situation. It might even be one of those picture frame TVs, which are great. I love those. One of my friends has one and it's really sick actually. It's so thin, it looks actually like a piece of art. But anyway, whatever, we're going to move the TV across from the couch. I don't know if maybe you don't like the gray tile on the fireplace, but I do. I love a big fireplace moment, a big tiled fireplace moment. I think it's art in itself. You don't need to be putting anything up there. And I really like the marbly gray tile. I know that it's not exactly the most popular tile right now, like maybe some small squares that are colorful is more popular currently, but I don't think you can go wrong with this plain gray tile fireplace. I like it a lot. But anyway, all that being said, we're gonna remove everything from the room. The TV also, even when it was on the fireplace, I think is too high. I would put it down on eye level across from the couch, or I would put it at least as low as you would hang a picture, which a picture, the center of the picture is supposed to cut at 60 inches. That's like the average eye level for people. But yeah, I think that this already would look better. And I really like the empty fireplace. I think it looks good like this. Of course, we can't put too much art, like I said, because we've got windows in the fireplace, but that's okay. Now I'm gonna be using majority of your furniture that you already have. You can get new furniture if you want, but I think you have really good furniture already. It looks really comfortable. Like this couch looks very comfortable. She said she has a problem with seating when guests come over, which is a fair complaint. I have a couple ways we could kind of address that, but I think that even if you put two couches across from each other, you're still gonna have the same problem. This couch is really long, so you'd have to do a shorter one that would kind of mirror, I think, the size of the one on the other wall, because this other wall that's shorter, you'd have to have the couch fit in there. I don't think you can have it sticking out like how we have the chair sticking out a little bit. I think it would feel really awkward. So you'd want the couch to be short, and then I don't think the couch across from it could be much longer. So I think that you kind of would have the same amount of seating. By the time you have those two smaller couches, the big couch and the two chairs is kind of doing the same thing for you. Which, I mean, this is also a thing about hosting and stuff. You know, you can't be expected to have a giant sitting room with 20 seats in it. Like, let's say you already have a family of 5 and they're all sitting in there, and then you have 2 families of 4 over. We got 8, we got like 13 people sitting in this room, let's say. Like, there's no way that you can be expected to just have 13 seats in here at all times. So bring those chairs in from the dining room. They look comfortable, they look cozy. I'd be happy to sit on one of those if I was a guest at your house. So just kind of bring those over and slide them in, and you're good to go. You know, nobody's gonna be like, why am I sitting on the dining chair? It'd be totally fine. But let's also keep adding some stuff in here. So we're going to keep the brown chair that we had in here. I like the brown chair a lot. I think it's great. It looks like a nice piece. I think there was a cushion on it. I removed the cushion. I don't love a cushion on a chair like that. Again, because of a practical standpoint, like this is so man complaining about the decorative pillows on a bed of me, but I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this cushion? Like, you know, you awkwardly sit down in front of it and it's kind of like at your back, so you're kind of like scooted for it on the chair, and then you pick it up and you kind of like look at the person whose house you're at and you're like, can I like, you either throw it on the couch or like, can I like put this down on the ground? Like, what do I do with this pillow? Anyway, so then another thing that we need to discuss though is that we've got the TV over here, but we don't have a console for the TV. I think that this little cute wooden unit that was in this corner that had this plant on it was for the TV stuff. There's like a few little wires and stuff, so I'm pretty sure that that houses some TV things. I think that instead of having that in the corner, we put like a little stool or something. We can keep the plant on like a stool over in that corner or something. But I think we use this as a side table between the 2 chairs on this other wall. And then you can still have all your TV stuff in it. You can have your little cords going up to your TV. You can put them in a little cord channel or whatever. And then you have a side table for the chairs too. It's a 2-for-1 situation. And then we're gonna move the chair back in that has the blanket on it that was next to the couch. We're gonna put that back in the corner. Yet again, one of my biggest complaints here is that we're missing a ton of lamps and lighting. You know, you really gotta cozy it up. Like, you only have the ceiling lights in here right now. You don't even have another option. So I think we really gotta cozy it up. I would like to put a floor lamp behind this chair. I think that people forget about floor lamps. And even I forget about floor lamps sometimes. You always think you need like a table to put the lamp on. No, you can put a lamp anywhere. You can just put a little floor lamp behind any piece of furniture that you have. You only need the tiny thin little space. It's just one little lamp going up. So I think you sneak a floor lamp behind this chair, and then I would put another side table next to the couch. Something wood, something warm. You know, there's not a ton of wood in this room, so it might be nice to bring in another wooden piece of furniture, and I did a little pop of red with this cute lamp. And then on the note of lighting, we need a pendant lamp in here for sure. You have another spot here, I'm pretty sure, to put a pendant light in the ceiling. We got to put a pendant light in here. It doesn't need to hang too low so that it's bonking you on the head or anything like that. But this is just the perfect opportunity to have like some sort of gorgeous light up there. And then to help you out with the seating situation, I do love a bench or like a couple of stools in front of a fireplace, something without a back so that you can still enjoy the fireplace. You could like sit on the bench and face the fireplace, or you could sit on the bench and face the room, and then you could keep your old coffee table, okay? This was one of the options that I was thinking, and this is what I tried, and I don't love it still, because I don't love how small the coffee table I think is gonna be in this room. It's hard to tell with the scale, but it feels like it's gonna be just like too small to fill the gaps between the couch and the chairs. So instead, I thought we could do a fun reupholstered ottoman, a big square ottoman. And you can find these on Facebook Marketplace. I think there's plenty of affordable secondhand ones, or I'm not even actually sure that these are too pricey to begin with. And you could reupholster it in a really fun fabric. This would be a perfect opportunity to bring in some pattern because you have two relatively solid colored rugs. I think it'd be nice to bring in some sort of pattern mixed colored fabric. And then of course, if you do need more seats, you could also push this over towards the fireplace more and somebody could sit on it if they needed to. And then I put a little tray on there for styling. Another opportunity that you could bring in some metals without like a silver plate and like maybe some candelabras or something like that. I think that's another thing that you're kind of lacking is I put some fun like candelabras and stuff in each room. I know you can't light them probably because you got kids running around and stuff, but they're nice even just to make the room feel styled and more cozy. And then I put a fun pop of a blue pillow on the couch. Your pillows on your couch are relatively neutral, so it'd be a really easy way to also bring in a bright, fun color, whatever kind of colors you really like. And then obviously I already mentioned the art struggle. You can't really put art anywhere in here. You do have a tiny little piece of art in between the windows, and I like that. I think you could add to that. You could put more sneaky little pieces of art. There was one even on the wall to the left of the kitchen that was like a little tiny piece of art. You could put that here so that they're together rather than, like I said, it just feeling kind of random. You know, this is great. This is gorgeous. It's a lot more cozy. There's some more added color, but I will say, I was thinking, we could get crazy with it and we could reupholster the couch. If this couch is comfortable and you like this couch, I think it looks like a great couch, we could reupholster it. I went crazy at first. I went for a crazy red pattern. I think because we have the solid chair and the solid rug, it'd be fun to bring in a pattern. This one's a little bit too crazy maybe for me. I like how warm it is. It's really warming up the room, and I do love red if you wanted to take a risk. But instead I decided I prefer this blue. I went for like a blue, like small floral detailed pattern. I don't know if you like florals, just some sort of fabric that you're drawn to. Maybe in like, even like a slate blue color if you're scared to do anything too bright. But yeah, I think a blue fabric or some sort of colorful fabric would be nice in here because the gray couch with the gray fireplace maybe is just feeling too much gray. I like gray. I'm down for gray. I do still like the gray couch, but if you're looking to do something fun and have more color, I think that that would make a big difference in here. And I wanted to do all these changes so that you could see how it looked with the room being white like this, because I think it looks great like this. It's cozied up, it's colorful, it's fun. You can add little touches of your personality here and there. But I do think that if you were gonna paint a room, rather than doing the dining room where it's encroaching on the kitchen, this actually kind of feels like its own cozy little nook. You know, I know it's next to the dining room, but it's its own room separate from the dining room. And since it's kind of far from the kitchen, I think that this would be the spot to paint if you're really dying to paint. To do a cozy living room, you could do a darker green if you want it to be extra cozy. I did kind of like a lighter slate kind of green here. I would be down for a warmer green too. I think that would look really good, but maybe the contrast with the fireplace would be tricky. So you might want it to be a bit of a cooler tone. But I mean, you can't really go wrong with green, right? Unless you're doing like lime green. Green is quite a neutral. So I think it'd be a fun, but also kind of safe way for you to try out some color. If you want to paint a full room, I think this would be the room to do it in. And then the last thing that I did is these windows are looking quite bare. I like it. It's a modern, fresh sort of look to just have these like hidden sort of white blinds on it. So you might want to try Roman shade. I think they can start to feel a little bit top heavy, but that's not really a problem in here. It is making it feel pretty cozy. But I also don't think you necessarily need it. I think it really feels really fresh without the Roman shade, and the pendant light is cozying it up quite a bit anyways. So I don't know that we need the Roman shade. And that's all my tips. That's everything that I landed on, guys. So Comment down below if you want to give her more tips, if you think that you are seeing that anything else could be jigged in a different way that I hadn't thought of. But yeah, you have a beautiful home. I think that the main points are more lamps, less sporadic with the art, some more styling, have some fun with it, bring in things that you find and you love, you know, things that show your personality, maybe your kids and your husband. Like if everybody wants to have some fun with it, you guys could go to the thrift store and each like pick out one little home decor thing that you want to have on display or something like that, since it doesn't seem like you have too many decorations right now as it is, and adding some more pattern and some color, of course, in some of the ways maybe that I suggested, if you're interested. And if you do any of these things, send me some after pics. Or if you have more questions, or if you find something you're uncertain of, or if you run into any more hiccups, email me and we can try and figure it out. I actually also did make a Pinterest board. If anyone's interested, I think I'm gonna call it like Colorado open floor plan or something like that. January 26th or something. So my Pinterest will be linked down below. My Pinterest is kind of all over the place. It's not super organized because it's basically all the pins that I've had for however many years, but I did make a few little boards, like one for my color inspiration video. I made one for this video, and I'll probably start doing some separate boards that you can go and check out for inspiration on the different videos that I do. If anyone's interested in checking that out, I'm just gonna go eat dinner with Brendan. We're having quinoa, sweet potato, Greek bowls sort of thing that I whipped up with some pickled onions and stuff like that. I'll probably watch something on TV. And it is 9 o'clock on the dot. I'm just gonna go eat dinner now. But it's been a long day. Other than that, I got nothing to report, guys. So I'll see you guys next week. Videos every Thursday, and don't you forget it.